Wanting to learn a new hobby, or even just wanting to learn how to code? Well, you've come to the right place. Today, I'm going to teach you how to make a simple game from coding, and we'll work our way from there. Just for reference, I'm using Thonny on Windows. Never coded before? Just search up Python download and download the file that's accessible for you. For any questions, be sure to email me at learntocode190@gmail.com. Finally, let's get started. So you're going to see an empty file, just like this, when you open your coding software. To start, let's write a simple piece of code. We'll type print, parentheses, quotation mark, and then put whatever text you want. In my case, I'm going to put welcome to the guess a number game. Because today we're going to be making a number guessing game. Then we add another quotation mark and then a parentheses at the end. Now let's run it and see what happens. In the shell, we can see it says welcome to guess a number game. So whenever we run the input, the output's always going to be whatever you put inside print. For now, you could put whatever you want inside and test it out. So as we can see, print and then whatever's inside those parentheses and quotation marks will always come out in the output. Next, let's just type a few more instructions for the game. So we'll do print, parentheses, quotation mark, and then here are the rules. And then I put a colon just so that it's clear what the rules are. And if you don't put a parentheses and a quotation mark, it won't work because it'll think you're trying to type a variable, which we'll look at later. So I will choose a number 1 through 100, and you have to try and guess it, which is basically the whole topic of the game. And today we'll be making it in under 10 minutes. By the way, if you're new to coding, don't worry. You'll eventually get a hang of these complicated lines of code. Okay, so now you want to go down 2 lines and you want to type import and then random. Basically what that does is it gives you the feature to randomize the number or a variable. Okay, so you want to go lower down, one more, and then if you put a hashtag and then text next to it, it's basically just a note if you want to keep to yourself. So right here, I'm just writing imports the random feature into the game. Next, let's go down 2 more lines and we'll type number equals random. We're basically saying that the word number equals random dot randint. Randint means random integer. Okay, and then in parentheses, we put in 1, 100, which means that basically what it's doing is it's choosing a number 1 through 100. And then we go down one more line and we define guess equals to none because the player hasn't guessed yet. We go down one more and we make a loop where we say while guess exclamation mark equals then number, and then we add a colon. Whoa, now let's slow down a minute. You guys are probably wondering what this line of code means. It looks pretty complicated, but once we break it down, it's actually super easy. So basically, while is a kind of loop. Basically, when you say that, it means that every time what you're saying doesn't match the criteria, it keeps going again and again. Guess is what we defined it before, where guess equals none, right? And then exclamation mark equals means not equal to. And then number is what we defined. Number is random from 1 through 100. So basically what it's saying, while the guess is not equal to the number, you're gonna keep repeating until it does. Alright, let's move on now. So our next line of code that we're going to type is we're going to go down and you can see that indentation. That indentation is caused because of the colon. And then now we're going to type guess equals int, which means integer. Let's put a parentheses. And then we're going to type input and then another parentheses and then a quotation mark. Don't forget that. Guess the number. Basically, when you type input before a piece of text, it's basically saying that person who's playing your game is going to answer. Now we just want to finish it off with a quotation mark and then 2 parentheses, since we had 2 parentheses in the beginning. Always make sure when you're coding, if you're not sure, just to run it back again. So let's do that right now. When we click play, we see all the text that I wrote, and now it's saying guess the number, right? So basically it says here the rules, it says all the text, and now it's allowing the user to guess the number. So let's say I'll just put in 5, and then it makes me do it again. And let's say 10, and then it makes me do it again. Makes 1,000, and then it keeps making me doing it over and over again. But how is the user supposed to know if they're higher or lower than the number? So let's add that into this code right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to say if guess is less than the number, we're gonna add a colon, and then we're gonna say print, add your parentheses and your quotation mark, and then type too low. So basically what it's saying, if what the person guessed was lower than the number that the computer chose, you're gonna say too low. And then ELIF means else, if guess is greater than the number. We're gonna print, and then colon, we're gonna print too high, so that if what the person guessed was higher than what the actual number is, you print too high. And then always remember to add your parentheses and your quotation marks when you're writing a text. And then we're going to type else, and then you're going to say else print you're correct. Basically, if the person gets spot on, they can't be too high or too low, which is else. And then when it's else, you print correct. Let's just review everything. If is the first criteria, elif is the second criteria, and if it doesn't match any criteria, it's else. Okay, now let's run it to see if the game works. So it gives us all the directions and text, and you're able to guess the number. Let's say I put 50. It says too low. So then we get to guess it again. Let's put 75. It's still too low. Let's put 90. It's still too low. And see, every time you put in a number, it'll say too low or too high until you actually get the number, which means else, and then it says you're correct. So that's basically how the game works. And so let's just go back up through everything. So print is to print a piece of text. Import random is to add the random feature to the game. Without it, you won't be able to do the random integer process. And this piece of code basically says choose a random integer from 1 through 100. And then we're just defining guess, because if we don't define guess, Python won't be able to know what guess means. So we're just defining guess. And then we write out the if, elif, and else. There are 3 ways to define a criteria. And yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching. I hope you had a great time coding with me. Bye!